and is a graduate from the NAIT business program, finance major, and worked before he decided to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, we had my first thing, I had a business while I was in NAIT. Me and my friend, this was before like this even to be, like, now it's like a business where people actually like hire a bunch of people to do it. We used to run pub crawls, me and a buddy,
Right.
to help kind of fund lifestyle, but also, pay for school. So that was our first thing, but yeah, I had to learn how to work for someone first before I kind of went on my own and, kind of get comfortable and confident and like get more kind of life skills before I went out and did my own thing.
Did your pub crawls pay for your schooling?
Yep. So we did them for 4 years. So they started just as one bus, and then next thing you know, we're doing like 4 bus pub crawls, and it was great. So more like a lifestyle thing, but just kind of leads to one of my points here, talking about just doing something either you're passionate about or really good at, and kind of going all in on that, and turning it into a business where you can. That's more business.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming to hear me yak. So a little bit of background on me before we jump in. I'm the president of the Oodle Noodle Franchise Corporation. Some history on Oodle Noodle. Oodle Noodle started in 2005 by our founder, Sonny Pham, who's actually a culinary graduate from NAIT. So there's a strong NAIT connection here. Sonny is a very interesting fellow who immigrated over here from Vietnam. He's got a crazy awesome story, hardworking dude. Wanted to open up his own restaurant, and did with Oodle Noodle in the White Ave location. Our first store, our flagship, still looks the same as it did when it opened in 2005. That's the cool thing. And in 2010, we'd known Sonny for years, just in previous lives that he had, all in the cooking capacity. And Sonny's a guy, when you meet him, you just fall under his spell. You want to help this guy because he's like hardworking dude, came to Canada, worked 3 jobs, paid for his house cash, like he did paid off his house fast, set up a family, like did all this stuff. Like Sonny's just so inspirational. So, but Sonny knows what he knows. He knows how to make noodles. But he had dreams of making Oodle Noodle a multi-store franchise, with him being the guy who owns the factory that supplies all the stores. That was ultimately Sonny's dream. So that's where we come into play. So in 2010, Sonny came and sat us down, me and my business partner, and asked, hey, I'm buying a factory, I want to make sauces and noodles for Oodle Noodle. Oodle Noodle works, you guys eat here all the time, you're my favorite customers and you're my friends, can we do this? So that's what kickstarted Oodle Noodle. So in 2010, we opened our first franchise location on downtown 108, and have now kind of morphed into, we're just starting construction on our 12th store. So I will kind of just go through the points I've put together with franchising, share with you kind of the war stories, the wins and the losses and the mines that we stepped on, because the best way to learn sometimes in business is by making mistakes, and I feel like it's important, that we share both the wins. It's not just all about the wins, it's also about, learning from mistakes and making adjustments. So, first of all, when people probably talk about franchising, they say, okay, well, what's step 1? You start a business. Okay, I started a business, everything's good. Then you make it successful, because it's just that easy. Right? You just open the business, it's a success, then you franchise your concept. You're like, okay, we're ready to grow this. Then you go meet some fine people like this, you then sell these franchises, hopefully millions of them, and then you retire wealthy. Right? That's normally the kind of steps that people will do if you're kind of trying to sell you the sizzle, of why you should franchise or what franchising is. And each point is accurate, it's just how do you get there? So we'll drill down a little bit kind of on each step along the way. So first thing to start with is start a business. So I say pick something you're good at or passionate about. Now I hear sometimes like people always kind of like get like the passion word kind of maybe gets used too much or thrown around. But why I say passion or something you're good at, you need to be willing to do everything it takes to make your business get off the ground. It's business, starting a business isn't just about vanity. You just don't start a business and all of a sudden success shoots out the other end. It takes a lot of work. It takes, a lot of, doing many jobs. You're either the janitor for your business, or sometimes you're the bookkeeper, or you're in-house lawyer counsel. Like, you do so many different things, especially when you're starting off. And you have to expect to do those things if you want to get things off the ground, because you're starting with very little resources. It's just you, in most cases. So that's what leads into just be willing to put the work in to ensure success. So just effort. Effort's going to push it through any kind of, landmine that you may step on. It helps unlock the wins. It's the people that are willing to do, people maybe put a 70% effort, it's the people that do the extra 30% will really get ahead and create the win. So that's something I always want to stress out about business, is do something that's going to motivate you to do everything that is needed to get it off the ground. So to make it a success, really study your business to find out what makes it work and grow. You want to focus on the key drivers of your business and apply your focus to those. So once again, you've got your business off the ground. What is actually making it work? And then identifying what that is, and then go all in on that and push that to market. It's not doing 400 different things and just for the sake of doing them. It's really isolating, like, where are your talents, match your business, and trying to push that to help it grow. So, you're looking at the offering, nailing down what your offering of your business is, whether it's, services or restaurants or, machine sales or, and I'm just trying to think off the top of my head some of the random franchise, like cleaning companies. These are all things that nail down what their offering is, and push that to help your business grow. Identifying a target market. So who is your actual audience? In industry analysis, who are your competitors? What makes you different than them? Or what's your niche? Technology, how can you leverage technology to make your business more efficient from a manpower standpoint, or reporting, or just, customer value proposition. Refine and target marketing. So once you know who your target market is, then what are the activities you are going to do to then go and reach that audience to have them come support your business? The value proposition. So it's refining, what it is, what it is you're selling. Like, and sometimes it's, sure, the big thing, and this is not a franchise, but like, everyone's heard of Uber, right? Mm-hmm. Uber sells, it's a ride sharing service, but really what they're doing is they're selling time. It's very efficient, it's very quick. Like, you don't have to go in the corner and wait 20 minutes if you call a cab, or you're not at the mercy of that. You've ordered, boom, get in the car, done. They're actually selling time. So like, that's the value proposition to the consumer. So figuring out what really it is you're providing. Sure, maybe you're selling them a piece of equipment or giving them tax service or cleaning their home, but like, what really is your offering? And make sure you're speaking that language to help resonate with them, to have them be subscribed to your product or service. So customer service is the other thing, right? So it goes back to passion. If you care, you're going to care what your customers think. You're going to be open. You're going to listen. You need to be agile sometimes to make adjustments to your business based on customer feedback, and you have to respect it. It's so important. And then partnerships. If sometimes you need to bring in strategic partners into your company to enhance your service or enhance your product or enhance whatever. But there's key partnerships out there. We've done them with all of our businesses. Key partnerships for us at Blue Noodle is Coke. We partner up with Coke over Pepsi. The reason being is they invest marketing dollars into our business. They support us in all of our marketing initiatives. We go to market, so they're a financial resource for us. That's a lot of people don't know that. But when you create these relationships, if you can unlock some dollars to help fund the business. It's creative ways to unlock capital or cash flow.
That's pretty neat.
Create a system. So business off the ground, it's working, you're seeing some success. Well, now you got to create a system or a rhythm for your business. You need to create the rinse and repeat to ensure that every day it's gonna be consistent. You know what the offering's gonna be in terms of what your employees or staff are doing or what your customers are expecting. You need to streamline the business. So standard operating procedures, scheduling, ordering, like especially with the restaurant side, like ordering for us is so important. You could sink your business in the food industry so easily by being poor at ordering. A lot of people, especially when we have franchisees, when we're training them, they initially order out of fear. they won't follow the system, they'll order out of fear, and next thing you know, their food costs are 10% higher than they should be, and that's their profit, tied up in food costs. So it's getting that in line, cash management. So managing your cash flow, managing your payables, managing your receivables, all that's important because you need to be able to time, you know, expenses when money's coming in or when payroll has to come out. Reporting for us has been so huge. So to kind of take it back, when I first started Middle, I had a where react, right? So I'm in the stores, we had our first franchisee, I'm there all the time because I need to learn as well, kind of what the franchisee is seeing. And, you know, I was our bookkeeper. I was creating our reports. I wasn't the greatest at it, but I was able to focus on the two main things that were important for the business in terms of labor costs and food costs. So, you know, the whole ordering and scheduling component. I just focused on those two because those I know how to control. The rest were kind of, if I was a little off on that, it was okay. So I focused on that to make sure that was always accurate, on time, when we needed to pull a report. So those two key indicators of our business were in line, and everything else was kind of loose. But now, you know, as we've been able to get more efficient, unlock more resources, as we grow more stores, bring in actual proper accounting now into our team, our reporting is much stronger. Now that other stuff that I was missing, we've found to unlock now a whole bunch of opportunity. Technology ties back to ordering, cash management, reporting. There's a lot of good things out there for us. You know, we leverage technology through for scheduling, via our POS system, so our till we use for our ordering. What else do we do for technology for our delivery offering, for online delivery. These are all things we've leveraged to help us grow our business. So these are things you want to identify, and that actually ties back to partnerships technology. Is we brought on Skip the Dishes, if you're familiar with it, for Oodle Noodle, to help us grow and ramp up our delivery business. And now we're, you know, it's a third party, they handle all that, and now we've taken delivery completely out of our store, which makes it now more efficient. It makes delivery more profitable for us, and it actually takes the risk of delivery away. All the liability is now on Skip the Dishes, which is very huge because you have to make sure you look at see what kind of liability snags you can hit in your business, and make sure you have, you know, policies or mitigation around that to protect yourself. So that's been a big one for us. So training procedures, you know, you want to be able to train a new manager. The key for a business, especially if you want it to scale, is you need to make yourself redundant. And if you can't, then you don't have a franchise. But if you want to be able to create the training procedure, the training manuals, all this stuff, so it's basically like, I don't say this in a mean way, but like, it's the truth. You're basically making your business redundant because you're just trying to bring someone in who's excited about the business, who wants to put in the effort. You want to give it all there for them to follow, and if they follow that, you've got a successful business on the other end. And that's why those training procedures are very, very, very important. Risk analysis and mitigation. So, is this the whole landmines thing? You know, with us at Oodle Noodle, the risks initially were our franchisees. You know, we're bringing in random, you know, people whom we've not met. We've mildly vetted. We bring them into our business and expect them to just run and grow. And you know, that will quickly tell you how the rest of your rhythm or your system is working. For us at Oodle Noodle, we to kind of mitigate the risk of a franchisee, we started our first 3 franchises as a partnership. So we did a 51-49 partnership with our franchisees, where we had 51% control of the business. We also put in 51% of the investment. For the reason being that if any one of these things were weak or needed to be fixed, we could go in and do it without any potential pushback or, you know, legal liability from our franchisee. We wanted to have that control because if we were noticing there's leaks or anything like that, we needed to be able to jump in and fix it without any hesitation. So we did that with the first 3 stores. So what that did is it quickly, when we launched, you know, we quickly found out that our food product was good. We could train people to cook it, but we struggled with having people managing, following our system and ensuring a safe food cost and safe labor cost. And how I proved this is kind of interesting. So we opened 3 stores really quick, just because we wanted to say, Oodle Noodle's here, plant our flag. and say it's now a franchise. So we opened up 3 franchise stores within 12 months. 2 downtown, and then 1 out in Spruce Grove. And the reason, during that time, the reason why we did 2 downtown and 1 in Spruce Grove is the market in Edmonton was a little bit different. There wasn't a lot of inventory for real estate. Like, we were hunting, trying to find good locations. And so we were kind of at the mercy of when something came available, we had to jump on it. So that's what kind of led where we went. So then we partnered with franchisees. So we opened these stores very quick, put them through the training program, teach them how to cook, you know, get the reporting set up, which I'm managing myself, and you know, have them open. So these stores all open fantastic. In terms of, you know, top line sales, all great, food quality, good. We're putting together monthly statements, stores are losing money. What the heck is going on? Like, we're trying to drill down here as to what's happening. The sales are good, why are we losing money? So, you know, we have to go back in and see what's doing. Are you following the schedule? What's your labor cost? What's your food cost? And we think, you know, we're coaching our franchisees weekly at this point, because it's very important. You know, these people invest a lot of money. You're basically selling them a security when you do a franchise. So you need to make sure you're there to coach them. That is your duty as a franchisor. So we were sitting with them weekly, you know, trying to kind of micromanage this until we can kind of find the solution. And you know, we kept getting there. We'd get there for 1 month, and then we would go then focus on another part of the business, and then it would fall back off the rails. So we actually, with our first 2 franchisees, and this was a safe thing because we had the structure we did, is we actually bought out both our franchisees because we uncovered that our system was not strong enough. We couldn't just hand it off to someone that we trained how to cook, you know, how to do accounting, all this. Like, it wasn't strong. We realized it was quickly, we had to still be in the business to make it work. And for this to be a successful franchise, we can't have that. So what we did is we bought all of our franchisees out, circled back, turned them into corporate stores, and like, okay, well, we're gonna live and breathe these stores for 12 to 24 months and get a solid understanding of what's happening. Like, we know what Little can do this. We already had 2 stores. Sunny had 2 stores before we franchised the concept. We know you can hit these food costs. You know we can hit these labors. Where are we falling down? Where are the inefficiencies? So we, you know, rolled up our sleeves, jumped into the business, quickly found out, you know, probably could have done a better job in the vetting process of the franchisees. You know, we had people that, you know, had access to capital, and that's great, but we should have maybe done a little bit more deep dive in terms of effort level. So a lot of people were over-scheduling because they didn't want to work in the business too much. They wanted to be the business owner, right? This goes back to the vanity thing. You can't do it. You have to be willing to jump in there and be the lead person if your business needs it. That was ultimately the biggest thing. Our reporting was weak because I was just focusing on the 2 things. Technology, we weren't really leveraging anything. Training, well, clearly we were missing something. So we circled back. We brought in Sunny, the founder, and just kind of really refined everything. We brought in managers for these stores, and just worked in lockstep with them to really identify where are the leaks, where are we failing? Because if we're gonna grow this thing, we need to franchise. And if we need to franchise, this system needs to be very strong. So it took 2 years. You know, we thought it would take 12 months, but we kind of went into kind of maintenance mode while we learned our lessons and straightened everything up, and also grew our team. We realized a lot of the weakness came from, like, we're missing certain team members at the franchisor level. Granted, we didn't have the resources to do it at the time, but we were able to unlock that, and that's what we'll talk about in a little bit. Sorry, if I can cough. And so we went through that 24-month lesson, and then we're like, okay, we think we've got it, and then we went and we did 1 more franchise. Okay, let's try it again. If they're going to scale this, then we need to go back to franchising. So we sold the franchise. You know, same thing happened. It opened really strong, sales really good, food quality was good. The But now we've got a really strong, our system's got a lot strong, and this thing is now making money on day one. So now we've got a happy, engaged, hardworking franchisee who is subscribing to the system that we created, allowing us to do the things we can do to help support the business, and now he's doing well. So now we have a happy franchisee. Okay, well, let's see, now we're gonna test the corporate system. Like, how is our manpower, can we handle doing more stores? So then we quickly, a few months after that, opened another one. Just to do a quick 2-store kind of sprint. And same thing, open strong, was making money right from day one, which is, very, very fortunate. Had some issues with the franchisee, some coaching stuff, some ups and downs, in terms of following the system. Because one thing about when you're a franchise, and I'll get ahead of this, go back actually, is you need to make sure they're following your system, your brand guidelines, all this. You're giving them a set of rules. If you follow these rules, you're gonna have a good business. But if they're not following the rules, like logos or signage or marketing activities, they're in breach of their agreement with you. You have a brand to protect because you built a brand. So we had issues like that, but once again, we were able to work through it, and then all of a sudden now we have a good franchise. So a few bumps, but then the team was there to be able to mitigate that, and that's what ultimately gave us the that was a litmus test for us to take it now from 7 stores to now 12. So this is about 18 months ago where we finally kind of hit this epiphany, like, okay, we're going to put the foot on the gas a bit to really test the growth of the company. And we've opened 5 stores in 18 months. So now we're moving at a good clip. But if it wasn't for, experiencing these issues that forced us to tighten our system, we wouldn't be able to get to where we are right now. So I jumped ahead here, but, when you franchise your concept, you have to ask yourself 3 main questions. Is my business scalable? Can it run without me being the engine of the operation? Is my system strong enough so that it can be taught and handed off to someone else? So we assumed yes on all 3 parts for us, but we had to work on the last one to actually make this a going concern. So if all these things are true, well then you can become a franchise. Because franchising is about scalability. It's about taking your business and replicating it and having someone else run it for you and be able to do so successfully so you can continue to grow. So here's kind of the to-dos before you can sell your first franchise. You got to create your operating manuals. This is this is kind of all what I just talked about. This is an onerous process. We brought in a consultant to do it to help us. Probably in hindsight, wish we didn't. Probably would have helped the system if we did it all ourselves, because maybe it just would have made us, we would have been more involved in all of that. We passed it off because we wanted to focus on other things within the business. Now, that might not hold true for a lot of people, but when we look back, that's something we wish we changed. Training guides. So how are you going to train people? How long do you need to train them for? Where are you going to train them? What equipment do you need to train them on if it's an equipment thing? Emergency guide. What happens if something blows up? What happens if something needs to be repaired? What happens if someone gets hurt? What happens if all that? You need to have all this stuff, because remember, you're laying out the business. You're taking the whole business operation and putting it in a book or a pamphlet or a piece of paper for someone to take and run. It's their dashboard. Approved vendors and supply lines. This is very important. So as you scale out your franchise, your buying power increases. So you want to leverage that with your vendors and suppliers so you can get better deals for your franchisees. So you want to, work that out. Who's going to be your vendors that you want to do for equipment or supplies or whatever like that. You want to get that set because it's also important for consistency. The key to a franchise and a franchise offering, especially in the food business, is consistency. And that's what that system is there, and that those franchise agreements are there to help protect. Branding and design guidelines. What is your logo? What in the little standpoint? What is your store going to look like? If you're some sort of service company, what's your vehicles going to look like? Like, what's your brand colors? What's your core values? These are all important pieces you need to have ready to hand over to a franchisee. So equipment list and operation guide. So, back to the kind of approved vendors, the equipment you have, also the training on how you operate it or how you maintain it or who you call to maintain it. These are all things. This is a very lengthy one. Franchise agreements, this is, something you engage a lawyer with, and you go through and you talk about all the different potential outcomes that can happen by owning a business, and how you're gonna have a clause for each one of them. I probably spent, 20 hours with the lawyers over, our franchise agreement, not all in one shot, they always did it in small bites. Ownership structure, so for us, we thought it was important to protect ourselves to do, a 5149 to start. Traditionally now, now that we're a franchise, franchisees own 100% of their business and we just charge a royalty. Accounting and legal partnering, so that goes back to franchise agreements. You want to make sure your legal's tight. So should anything go wrong, you're protected and you can do the things you need to do to help save the business. Accounting, that goes back to reporting. I cannot stress enough how important reporting and bookkeeping are. That is the dashboard and lifeline of your business. And for your franchisees, you can't help them if they don't have reporting. You can't tell if their food cost is out of line or their labor cost is out of line if they don't have accurate numbers. It's so important. A marketing plan. So how are you going to market the business, the franchise? So target markets. Marketing relationships. You got to bring in which marketing partners you want to have. You have to come up with, depending on the offering, a social media strategy. All that stuff. And that also ties back to branding and design, so the type of content you want to be sharing. Business plan and projections. So when when you're ready to go and scale, you need to put this together because you need it for a few reasons. You need to establish a financial partner. So for us with Oodle Noodle, our big thing is well, how are we going to get banks to lend our franchisees money? Right? So you have to put together a detailed plan for that, so it makes it easy for the bank to say yes. Right? So we've established 2 financial partners for Oodle Noodle, 2 banking partners that help lend to our stores, to our franchisees. They've already accepted our business plan, so it took time. That wasn't always the case. Our first store we had to go through. I'm super sorry. Our first store we had to go through BDC. For those who don't know, if you've heard of Business Development Bank of Canada, they're probably, if you're starting out, they're probably the best lender because they're more mandated to help fund startup businesses. And their lending requirements, although you have to jump through a lot of hoops, they're not as stringent as banks to start. So we actually started with BDC for our first store. The only caveat or the negative thing to BDC is, yes, they're more lenient to lending, but their money costs more. So you just have to be aware of that. So they normally charge, 2 to 3% more interest, annual interest rate on your loan. But when you're starting out, sometimes that's a necessary evil. And then what you want to do is once you have the business proof of concept, you want to take them out as soon as you can and bring in more conventional financing with like a TD or ATD. Because it's cheaper money, helps with your cash flow, all that stuff. So, we opened the first few stores to kind of get through that. So now that we do have 2 franchising packages with 2 different, conventional lenders, ATB being one of them and RBC being the other. Raise capital. So when Oodle Noodle is, set to become a franchise, well, we had to raise money because franchise agreements, that's a legal cost. Putting together the marketing plan is a cost. Setting up, we hired consultants for operating manuals. Business plan and projections. We were able to do that in-house, but sometimes you have to bring in a consultant to help you with that. All this stuff costs money. So you need to have that capital up front. Maybe your initial business can help fund it, but maybe you have to bring in capital partners. So that business plan and projections is very important because you're going to be sitting down and talking to people who are potentially interested in what you're offering, and you want to make sure you're giving them good information that will help them, make a good decision, in your favor. And then build a team. For us, we realized once Oodle Noodle was ready, we couldn't scale Sunny out. Sunny had to be in the factory. Can't scale me out. We had to bring in operational partners, marketing partners, all that. So we built our team so we could help launch the franchise company with. I've been fighting a cold for 10 days. it's so annoying.
Don't apologize, it's all the talking, it's making you cough.
I've got lozenges in my car, I should have brought. So yeah, team is very important. Now, you may not have the resources initially to have a team, and that goes back to like having the passion to wear all the hats, but you know, the minute you feel you've got a little bit of room there, I recommend building the team because it only helps you to move more efficient, faster, and also takes a lot of stress off of yourself because you're thinking about every facet of the business. So, you know, the whole adage for us is teamwork makes the dream work. So, you know, for us, the team is very important. And if there's a member on the team that's not working, you have to make those tough decisions of when to go and replace them with someone else who is more on brand or shares the same vision. Very important. Same with franchisees. That's the same thing we did. Step 4, sell franchises. So you've done all this legwork, you've raised the money, you've got all the agreements, you've got your system in place. You know, you've got your proof of concept, all that stuff's done. So now it's, okay, it's time to sell, let's go to market. So you need to establish what your target franchisee profile is. If there's any education requirement, any work experience, or what type of work experience, any certifications required, depending on the business that you're doing, and capital requirements. So if you go through franchisee manuals, you'll see like, you know, like the franchise fee is so much, and you know, you need to have so much net worth or so much unencumbered cash to be able to buy one of these franchises. So that's where we come from, capital requirements. And one thing I don't did I mention right here? One thing I missed that's very important about the franchise concept is what's your royalty model going to be and what's your franchise fee. Royalty model, so for us at Little, we charge a 6% royalty and we charge 4% for marketing because we manage all the marketing for our franchisees because we want the franchisees only to be focused on their business and the operation of the business. So when you're considering your royalty and franchise fee, you need to see how it fits into the business before you just don't pull a number from the sky and say, oh, we're going to charge 10%, that's great. You know, can the business even afford 10%? You know, sometimes, you know, businesses are higher volume and they charge 2%, but with Little, kind of the shape and size of it, that's the ideal number. And then franchise fee, yes, that's a bit of a moneymaker for the franchisor, but that helps cover all the startup costs for the store. So the legal, the accounting setup, the training, all that. So when you're considering your franchise fee, that's kind of how you want to look at that. Sorry, I missed that part. So we're identifying who our franchisee is. For me, personally, with Little, we just want people who want to come and work and want to have fun. Fun is a core value of our brand. We're not looking for people that want to be absentee owners, which is the vanity business owner. We want someone to come in who's willing to put in the effort because we've spent a lot of time and money to try to make Little something that it's literally a for dummies type business where, like, you know, here's your prep, here's your cook, this is how you should schedule, this is how you should, you know, this is where you submit your invoices. You know, we set all those milestones and deadlines and daily routines and checklists. So it's just, if someone goes in and just puts in the effort, that we're gonna create a winner. So for us, like, that's what we've been looking at. We initially look at people like, well, geez, we just need people that be able to put money in, that say they want to do the business and kind of put it through, but like, I didn't want to list it, but personality I think is a big thing. And so things that we've implemented to kind of help address that is, anytime we have someone who's interested in Little, we now bring them in, and we have them work some shifts. Come in, see what Little is, because we want to see how you fit into Little and how Little fits with you, because a lot of people sometimes will get, you know, they're like, oh geez, like the cooking's hard, or the prep's crazy, or the lunch rushes are nuts, or I can't handle delivery. Like, some people can't handle the craziness because Little's not just a constant business in terms of, you know, one customer an hour type thing. It's like you have 100 people in 1 hour, then none, and then 50 here, and then 10. Like, it's so sporadic, but it's refined to like certain times of day. So can that person handle it? It's a stress test. So if they come through that gauntlet and say, yeah, no, I see it. I worked with this guy. You know, you showed me everything. I totally get it. I'm excited. Then that's kind of like another check mark. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're there, but that's something that we really do. And then also now, the new thing that we have is they have to meet Sonny. Sonny's the man. He likes to go and talk to him. If he also gives us a vote of approval, then we kind of go to the next level. So when you go to meet Sonny, you spend a lunch rush with him and you cook with Sonny, and Sonny will be able to tell you if this man or woman has what it takes. And like I said, it's not difficult. It's just, are you willing to put in the work? That's the big thing. So how do you sell franchises? You've done all this work, you built it up, you know who you want to talk to now. How do you sell them? Advertising, yep. Branding, sure. Media attention, earned media. You know, so earned media is, say we open a new store, our first franchise store. We brought in, we would let the media know, and they came and reported about it, and then it's a story in the paper. You know, we want to tell Sonny's story because he built a factory, so we alerted the paper, and then all of a sudden we had the paper come in and talk about Sonny. That's earned media. Organic, word of mouth, based on success of business. So, you know, if your store is doing well and it's busy, people are going to ask, you know, the person we're going to tell, how do you buy a franchise? And that's because they're witnessing the success of the brand and the operation, or they're huge subscribers of the product. That's the biggest one. We get a lot of stuff. We get a lot of emails. I wish 1,000 more than we get because I want to move faster, but that's okay. But people saying like, yeah, no, I went to U of A and I went to the White Ave location. Oh, I work above the downtown location. Oh, I work near Capilano. I love the food. Like, how can I buy a store? And then that kind of starts the process. Trade shows. There's franchisee trade shows or franchising trade shows that you can attend. I'm 50-50 on those. I don't know if you get a lot of serious people there, but they're important and people do attend them. And once again, you're playing the long game. You might not sell a franchise that day, but you may have made an impression that will result in selling a business 2 years from now. Franchise consultants and brokers, so we actually employ a franchise consultant / broker. So he's built a huge network of clients that are always looking to buy franchises. So they've either bought one of a new brand and want to try something else. These people refer us business. You know, it's one of our funnels of referrals that have turned into actually closing the franchisee. And then networking, you know, just getting out there. Like, believe it or not, this is considered networking. I'm putting Oodle Little in your brain. Hopefully one of you in the next 2 weeks will order Oodle Little because of this, or might be thinking if you want to do a franchise, oh, okay, well, maybe this was a presentation I liked, and maybe this is, you know, a business I want to get into. You know, these types of things. So just engaging, you know, one-on-one, getting out there, and spreading the word. Because it's an interesting thing to sell. And then also, now we've been kind of positioning a lot of our own internal content around franchising. So you'll notice on our social media posts, we're now creating like new versions of, you know, of I guess buying a franchise, if you will, kind of under our brand and aesthetic that we're pushing out here and there, not in your face, but just, you know, with some kind of regularity to that, and just getting the word out there because we want to cast the biggest net we can, and then try to establish a funnel because, you know, we need for us to grow, we need franchisees. It's so important. We can't do it all ourselves. And then retire wealthy, right? So this could be viewed many ways, as we all have different interpretation of wealth. But the one thing that's been proven time and time and time again is that franchising allows you to scale your business. Whether it's 3 stores or 10,000, you know, the model works. So it's up to you. So, you know, for us, Oodle Doodle, right now Oodle Doodle is, I'll kind of tell you the overall vision for it right now. So Sonny has a factory that's literally not far from here, 10 blocks, 20 blocks from here. It's got the capacity for 30 stores. So when Sonny came to us in 2009 to talk to about helping, he was buying the equipment and bought the building for a 30-store factory. So that's Sonny's vision. So step 1 of our business plan is to get Sonny his 30 stores and then talk about how we're going to expand our production. So that's step one. So we're gonna be doing up to 20 stores in Edmonton and area until we kind of saturate the market. And how we kind of dictate that is delivery is a huge piece of our business. So there's still a lot of black spots on the map that we can't get to. So once we've filled that all up and backfilled where some additional stores need to be, then we're gonna take Oodle out of market and move down to Calgary and Red Deer. And then from there, you know, we'll be at our 30 stores, and then we have to think about factory expansion. So the beauty, kind of take it back to Sonny's factory, is Sonny's vision is to create a win-win. Yes, it's to make money off of selling noodles and sauces, but he sells it to us cheaper than what we can go to market for. So it's a competitive advantage for us, and that's also a value proposition we're going to pitch franchisees as to why they should pick Oodle over a Subway. Well, we can actually hit 30% food costs. That's very important. One thing I did, a little bit of backstory on me is, I was a banker before I went out and pursued this, and when the opportunity was initially, when Sonny first kind of planted the seed with us, I dropped everything I was doing. I was in commercial banking, and I stuck strictly to franchise financing. So I wanted to learn, what does a successful franchise look like, and what does a poor one look like, or a good franchisor versus a poor one, where they're not giving support to their franchisees. And that goes back to the industry analysis thing I brought up. So the one thing I quickly learned is that 30% food cost is the magic number in this space. So how can we get there? Well, Sonny's a robot and can actually operate at 26%, but we know we can't scale that because he's special. So it's how can we get to 30? So, you know, Sonny's factory is the biggest competitive advantage that allows us to do that, because Sonny sells us noodles for about 15 to 20% less than the market is if we're to go buy from a third-party supplier. So that's one advantage. As our buying power increases, and this goes back to vendors and suppliers, Sonny actually can now take on more of our supply line. So before we used to have to get napkins from a third-party supplier. Now Sonny can take them on because we go through enough, because our buying power is increasing as we get more stores. Sonny now supplies us sriracha. You know, we save, even if we save $2 a case, that's still saving, because Sonny makes a little bit of money, store saves money. So we're always refining ways to bring down our costs, because that's always going to be our competitive advantage to help sell more franchises and help us, you know, carve out our niche and some separation from our competitors. So that's a big thing for us. Oh, sorry. Okay, I gotta leave the questions. I'm just going crazy. So yeah, that's kind of, I don't know if there was any flow to that, but just kind of, I just wanted to kind of just barf a bunch of information for you, kind of noodle and kind of what our interpretation is about how we went about franchising the concept. But yeah, I like the kind of intimacy of this crew, so I please encourage you to ask questions. It's more, this is where you really get any value from, well, not any value, but more value from this.
I have a question. Well, I don't really know. Well, I guess it makes sense, but so there's a trend like more and more people are becoming gluten sensitive or can't eat gluten. Specifically, I can't anymore. Noodle, do they have any niche for that market? Like, do they have anything that's gluten free?
Yeah, we should do a better job telling people.
Because I was thinking like I would never think to even go there because I'm assuming it's noodles.
Yeah.
I probably can't eat anything.
Yeah, no, we got vegan and gluten-free options.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so it goes back to like our core values, like noodles and pushing on that, but now like we have to like start kind of pushing that messaging. Oh, the other thing also for us, the interesting thing that doesn't tie to this, but opens up kind of a can of worms in my head, is there's a seasonality to Oodle. When the weather, we love the winter. When it's cold, we want hot food, right? And so we see our sales always go up, and then the summer, you know, you don't necessarily associate a hot box on a 30-degree day. So now to go back to messaging is like, we've got salads, we've always had salads, but now we're like putting a big focus now in the summer and doing salad deals to help kind of drive some more summer sales. But this is things like paying attention to the market and our sales trends to kind of pivot and adjust to try to help increase sales and move down. But yeah, that's a big one. So that's probably the most asked question to our info at Little email account.
Oh, wow.
To buy local too, this would be, if his factory is in Edmonton, you said?
Yep, so
That's
locals,
huge,
yeah,
that's a
so-
big deal, like.
so local is now a core value of our brand, that we're kind of now projecting out there. So you'll start hearing like, we're just working it into the, you know, into the language, into the content.
Was the pub crawl business the first one you had started?
Yeah.
How did you get into that? What made you go for that?
Well, it was just,
Party animal?
yeah, it was like, yeah, exactly, you're 18, 19, you know, you're making, gee, just working at Safeway, I was making like $40 a week. So I didn't have much money, so, you know, friends are going out, you know, how can, you like going out, like, how can you make that free or make it free and make some money? So, you know, just me and a buddy bought a bus, picked a date, talked to some bars, and just like, that time you had to phone everyone, just phone everyone and try to see what we can kind of conjure up, and then kind of went from there. Yeah, that was the whole networking thing, it was, a lot, things were a little bit more grassroots back then, knocking on doors. Still to this day, I guess I do that a lot, but it looks different.
What was the most difficulty you had, like with all the aspects you said, starting out? What was the hardest part?
The hardest part, building our first store was a huge challenge, because we didn't have a lot of domain expertise at the time, because Sonny built his own store, right? Because that's the type of guy Sonny is, but like, we couldn't build the same store Sonny did, nor did we want to, because Sonny's store is funny. But it will always be funny. But like, if we're gonna make it a franchise, it has to be, you know, something that's got, you know, some brand to it. So the construction was tough. So our first store, it was 3 months delayed and like 40% over budget. Like it was just so, but that was a giant financial grenade we stepped on. But it unlocked, you know, we learned so much. So to kind of give you reference, that first store cost us about $430,000 to build. We've now got, because of all that and kind of refining, we now build stores for between, depending on the square footage, between 310 and 330. So we learned a lot of lessons. We paid for them, but we learned a lot of lessons from that. And we've now, something that, you know, that took 6 months to build, we can now build stores in 2 months. So we're now lean and mean and efficient. So where that helps is, it reduces the capital requirement for a franchisee. You can maximize, so anytime you rent a space, landlords will give you free rent. You can maximize your free rent period because you want to be operational during that time, because you don't have to pay your rent, so that's money you can keep to kind of help set up the business financially. Yeah, it just reduces carrying costs because you're putting money into it that's, you know, partially bank finance, so that interest is running, right, with no income coming in. So you know, these were all lessons. It took us a few years to get there, but yeah, that was the toughest one. Now, like, there's, you know, things like doing the legal documents and building the franchise manuals, like, that's really monotonous stuff. It's not hard, it's a time thing. But like the construction one, that was the one that was keeping me up at night.
So, for people that are interested in getting a franchise, in regards to loans and everything, how does somebody start off with all of that? Like, what type of investment does somebody need up front to even consider being a franchise owner? Or
So-
like, not for you, like for someone to say buy a store?
So this is specifically to Oodle.
Yeah, say it.
Yeah, so we need people that have access to, so it all depends on the construction costs, and that all depends on the size of the store, but I give you a range. $60,000 to $80,000 is the capital requirement for a store.
Is that pretty good? That seems really good.
It
I
is.
was thinking 200,000.
No, so like the big guys, like the Tim Hortons
Yeah.
or whatever, like they ask for that big, so big franchise fee up front, and you know, it's a bigger build out, so they need more capital to go in. So we're smaller, right? So we can get away with less. So that's a competitive advantage per se. It's all relative. Like, we're not going to be a $4 million store, but you know, with us, you know, you can do something that does between 700,000 and $1 million and, you know, make a good living. And the thing that we like to preach with Little Noodle is, like, we like to either promote from within organically to create franchisees outside of going outside and attracting them, but also like if we have a good operator, we're, let's do another store, because we know that we're known quantity, so.
That's really good, actually, because I looked at Second Cup and it was 250 to 500,000 for one store that would maybe net 60,000 to 80,000 profit a year.
That's how much money they have to put in.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, so for us, like a Little, it can, 60 to 80, obviously the more the better, but we don't make it a requirement because you want to reduce your you know, financing costs, because that eats away at your month-to-month cash flow. But, you know, we've done a few stores like that and it's worked. Because you don't like to leverage too much, but it's because we also brought the cost, the total investment cost down. So Littles will range anywhere between, depending on the size, $60,000 to $120,000 in profit. So you're looking at something, you know, if you go out and like I said, run it tight, you're looking at, you know, a 3 to 5 year payback, which in this space is really good. Or acceptable, depending on who you're talking to.
Any other questions? Well, thanks, Jay, for coming in today and speaking to us. It's always a pleasure to have you here at Nate. I left your gift in the front office, so I'll have to bring it back.
Oh, yeah, no, all good. No, it's good to always come back and chat. Like I said, I just like to talk, so we kind of went on a rambling tangent. And thanks for staying with me.
No, it was really interesting. Like a lot of things we talked about that.